Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Azriel, and we've been doing creative projects for the last 4 or 5 years.
And last year was particularly fun. We were doing some film projects, music projects, and photography. So in this video, we wanted to share some of the photography we've done together, and apart, some of the photography we've done, actually. Just as a way of looking back and, savoring the moment.
Yeah. And I think if we don't share them, like these images would just stay on hard drives and die. And I think the point of art is to create and then share, give it up to the world.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't too serious. We're just having fun. So we hope you like it. And if you do, just let us know. Let us know if you want to see more of this type of thing. We'll definitely look forward to sharing our future projects with you. So,
Definitely.
I'll start the ball rolling, I think, with the very first image. So to start us off, I'll pick this image, which is quite unlike a lot of the other images that we'll see, right? This one is somewhat abstract. It focuses on, two very different objects as subjects of the image. The thing about this photo is I forgot I had it, right? Like, so my sister and myself, I should say I went along with my sister to, this is taken from the Carney Swamp while waiting for the scarlet ibis to roost or to return or whatever. And sun setting and this plane was going over to land. So that's actually a Caribbean Airlines flight from Tobago or something.
It's landing.
Starting to do its descent. Can't remember which direction it was coming from. I guess it's looking like it heading towards the west here. I guess I'm not sure. And so this just so happened that this lined up nicely. I'd taken a few others, but this is the sharpest I was able to get the plane. And I really struggled because I can't remember. I think I had the 70 to 200, right? And the thing about those long zooms is that you're looking through it and you're kind of struggling to get the frame now.
Like
small motions actually are accentuated. Anyway, so this is a surprise as I was going through the images that I had for the year to see this in there. It says nothing about Carney Swamp.
You wouldn't have to tell.
It had nothing to do with what I was doing there, which was, by the way, one of the scariest things I've done. Not going, but coming back, it was nighttime.
You can see.
I don't know how we make it out of there. I mean, they know the swamp, right? But anyway, that's a whole next story.
Funny, just because of an airplane, I just assume you shot this by the airport.
No.
Because it's the only reference of location.
Yeah. But no. But no, this was a happy discovery in the many images that I had sitting on my computer doing nothing.
What f-stop is this?
I think this had to be like at least 8 or something. I have to go back to the I could go back to the catalog and say maybe like F8 or something. So and I kind of, if you look at the moon, it really kind of overblown. So I was struggling to get the exposure on this one. In the time that I had to get the plane, it had a lot of things happening, and probably could have taken it down a little bit because the moon is blown out for sure. But still, I think the composition is one that I liked. Kind of opposite and the gradient, one into the next. So
it have this weird way of It's almost like it's asking you to be cookie eye, right? Because you could either look at the moon or you could look at the plane, but to try and look at the both, how they're separated. So
and I cropped in a little bit because I was trying to get it on the diagonal. I probably have to rotate the image a little bit to get that, but I was trying to get this diagonal kind of effect.
That would be hard to get in the moment. Might be easier to do that in post after.
But no, happy with this photo. It's not the sharpest photo, but from a composition point of view, I actually dig this one a lot. I mean, you could always go back and kick yourself with the way I exposed the shot, but in terms of composition, I pick it because of the composition.
So you actually break the rules.
Really? Yeah. Well, the rule of what? Thirds? Which rule?
Where most people you put the pointer interests on where the lines cross. You actually push them a bit off. So it actually feels like three ways to view the photo. You could look at the moon, you could look at the plane, or you could look dead in the center and appreciate the dead space and just observe the gradient. And it's nice. I like photos like this precisely because the rules are broken. If nothing on the cross, it means your eyes get to wander around and look. So you could start at the moon, go down to the gradient, go to the right where the plane is, or start at the bottom corner and make your way up.
Yeah. So I would say this photo was selected not because of technical correctness, but because of all the things that went wrong with it, I guess. Yeah. So I like it for that reason.
Okay.
You want to go to yours?
Yeah. Alright, so this is, I can't remember exactly when I took it, but this is my cousin's first son.
Right.
And the point of this shoot was to capture her second son, who's a newborn. But he was there and he was just playing around. And he had just woken up from a nap. So he was very cranky. And no matter what I tell him to do, he just really wasn't doing it. He was probably holding the pose for like a second, if so much. And then I told him, just leave him, he'll be all right. And he found his like markers, and he was just lying there coloring. And I could see that he was calm, and this is like what he actually wanted to do. He didn't want to do a photo shoot. And I asked his dad, I said, just pull the curtains a little bit. And the light was coming in. And immediately when I pulled it, like they already started telling him, look at the camera. I was like, no, just leave him. And I got this shot. What I like about it the most, I hope this translates. His eyes, so just like how you said with your plain photo, technical correctness is hardly ever the reason we pick photos, right? This spot here, the way his eyes look at what he's doing, and then the way the sunlight coming in here, so you get this like point of focus, and then all the shadows just fall off. And I found it was just a really nice moment where, you go with like a flash and you have all these ideas of how you want the shot to look, and then something happens like this just very naturally, where they pull a curtain, some light comes in, and you get this moment. And I think this was the best photo I took of the day. And I used nothing but a curtain. After totaling how much flash and lens and wondering about f-stop and stuff, I just point and shoot. And I got this.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about this is looking at this. Well, of course, I love your photography, right? I mean, this looks like an ad.
For something. Like
for something.
Ad, yeah.
It looks like an ad you would find for, I don't know, dairy milk or,
Yeah.
Where this is what they try to capture in an ad. So, I guess kudos.
Yeah.
But very honest. And, yeah, it draws you into what, his eyes draw you into what he's writing. So I get it.
Yeah.
I know you like to play with light, so I see in the Azrielness in the way using light that's available there.
Yeah, he not actually point out the art aspect of it. If like it was a Crayola marker and he was holding the marker with the logo pointed towards the camera, I could see a perfect cell. And if you had only seen what he was coloring, it's complete nonsense. Like outside the line, it was real terrible. But he was in his own moment and just being himself.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked this photo.
All right. Well, I had the benefit of traveling to, I guess, London earlier this year. I mean, we went together, but the first time I actually tried to do street photography was this year. Well, the first time I tried to do any kind of purposeful photography in a long time has been this year. And so in walking the streets of London, the way how this shot came about was, I should explain something about the way that I do this type of photography. I'm very, I would say timid.
Okay.
I'm not used to shooting people in the streets, right? So I was very cautious, I should say. I realize that this thing is blocking it. I was very cautious in that when I now started, I didn't really want to offend people, right? So I was at all times trying to hide the fact that I was taking the shots, right? So as you could tell, it's taken from a low angle, and I wasn't looking through the EVF at all. I was just estimating where they were relative to where the camera lens was pointing and shooting, right? So this shot was entirely by chance. This was probably maybe the first or second shot I took of somebody on the street.
Can you make it big?
I cannot make it any bigger than that. Let me see.
No, as in fill the make the,
yeah. So, but funny enough, I wish I had taken this photo with this intent.
Okay.
Because if I was looking through the EVF, I would not have taken the shot with his body in that position at that angle. But I actually like how big he looks. This guy is taking a smoke on the side of the road. I think this was some train station or something, St. Pancras or something, and he was just taking a smoke break, and I just happened when I got back, and I was like, shit, I wish I could think about framing a shot like this any moment.
Oh, okay. I was not about to ask. You're saying that you wish you had looked through the EVF and done this intentionally.
I wish I have that presence of mind when taking shots.
Okay.
Because I would, if I was looking through the EVF and taking a shot,
Wouldn't have.
I would have framed them maybe the center of the shot, or maybe tried to follow a rule, put them on a third, or whatever it is, and I would have never angled the camera that badly, you know.
Well, funny enough, you're right smack in like on the
third.
Yeah, on the third. So it's like you still got what you wanted, and they are so all the lines point to this guy. Yeah. I love how even where he's looking to, almost everything in this photo, I say almost everything in the photo works, right? Even where he's looking, he's not looking at the camera, so it's almost like you get a peek into like he looks like a mastermind or some kind of I don't know, some type of boss that, and it almost looks like you're not supposed to be taking photos of him. Yeah.
No, I think this photo was, how do I put it, a real happy coincidence. And I think I was probably shooting just like shutter priority, so like I set it so that I minimize blur and just hope for the best kind of thing. Keeping my finger just on focus a little bit, and so I'm very happy with the shot, to be honest.
And it's so fascinating how we get so obsessed with how many things that camera could do, how much controls it have, shutter speed, ISO, this, that. But shutter, like if I saw that photo, I'm not going to ask you this was shutter priority or you know? It's like, wow, this is a great photo. Tell me about the experience of taking the photo. On to mine?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so mine, this is, I kind of embarrassed to say, I can't remember the historical context behind this, but from what I do remember, this was the woman who worked for World War II.
You're right, yeah. I think I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, either World War II.
This is London, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is when we were on the bus going around the main part of the town or the city. So I remember seeing all of these what do you call it, like public attractions, and I felt as though, and we had this discussion after a while. I said I feel like this is the 500th time somebody took this photograph of this monument or this clock or this thing, and I just saw it and I said, okay, it looks interesting, and this will sound kind of bad, but I took this photo reluctantly. I took it because I said, oh gosh, well, you're in London, you have a camera, there's something in front of you, just press it, it's okay, it's not that serious. And then I took it and I looked in the viewfinder, and I saw this, and there is some cropping that took place because, like you, I wasn't like trying really hard, so I had to crop it properly to line it up, so I lost some information on the left, so I just compensate by taking some off on the right, and then I tried to lean into it by cropping tightly so that their how do I put it, like their image, their presence, it almost feels like they're like looking down on you, and that's what I experienced when we were on the bus, because I had to like look up at them,
right,
and take the photo.
Right. Okay.
Now
I got it.
I have to admit, I will give like a lot of the credit to this photograph to the sculptor, because to me, what works for this photograph is the texture in the stone. It feels like, it looks like fabric, even like the way it's like bent in certain areas. It looks like the cloth actually moved. So as you can see, like let me just throw this up real quick. There's It's like right here, it was midday. So the light is definitely coming in from on top. And then based on where the light falls here, even down here, it just speaks to the sculptor's work, because it means that the sculpture is not flat.
Right.
It's actually protruding out
Gotcha.
in different areas to
And
catch the
capture
light.
the light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like all of this here, and then the dark areas is obviously what's behind. I guess like your photo before, this was a happy accident. And then I think when I saw it in the viewfinder after, I looked at the rest of the trip differently. I said, okay, yes, these things may have been photographed 500 times, but not by me. Everybody's perspective is unique, and press the shutter button. I guess that's the lesson. Just press it.
Well, we probably should explain to folks that this year we actually took a photography trip. I mean, the first time I've ever done a trip with the sole purpose of taking photographs. And so we spent, maybe a week, 10 days?
Yeah, 10 days. Correct,
10
yeah.
days, London, and a day in Paris. So I guess some of the photos you'll see would be from those locations. London is a lovely city. I always enjoy London. I don't know what your thoughts are, but in terms of a place to explore and to shoot, I love it.
Yeah. My thoughts with London. So that's my first time. I know you've been there before. And the first thing that stood out to me, I think you had a good laugh, was when I got there, everything was grey. And like you said before, I like to play with light, right? So the light source I had was this big soft box that just flattened out everything.
At one point the working title for the project was, for me anyway, A City with No Shadows, because it was difficult to see. Like in the Caribbean, you're used to hard shadows.
Yeah.
Like at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you expect to see like yourself walking behind you.
Yeah.
Right? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock is just like a fuzz.
Nothing, yeah.
So yeah, it's just like a big white box, which I guess has its pros and cons, but generally difficult to get depth.
Yeah. But you do get a very soft light across everything. So it's really nice to shoot not wide open, but the opposite.
Yeah.
Because everything has a little bit of light on it.
Yeah, no, that was a great trip. Maybe I could jump to some of my London. Oh, let me jump to this one from London. And this for me was probably the highlight of my London experience, right? So if I go to this one, so this guy, I call him Winston Ducaran, right?
He knows.
Yeah, wait. So the story goes, we stayed in Canary Wharf for this photo holiday, right? And jumped into a train and headed over to Greenwich, which is 5 minutes away or something, not very far. And then you come off in Greenwich and you can walk through a park, and then we walk past the park and over into the little village. And in the park, the main play area, there's like a crossroads where 3 or 4 footpaths come together, if you remember. And standing right there is this book sculpture of pages. In fact, I don't think it was a book. It's like maybe newspapers or something, right? So just like whoever the artist is, I would have never thought to this. And this is, I don't want to be like art jealous, but I'm art jealous because somebody took the time to take a stack of newspapers and craft it into a sculpture of a man's head, who to me looks like Winston Ducaran. But it's sitting on the ground, it's weathered, it's the hair is just flapping in the wind like hair does. And so this is probably my most favorite discovery on the trip. There was a lot, but seeing this piece of installed art in the most random of places, people just walking by, kids, dogs, whatever, and it is, Winston Ducaran sitting on the
Now, how funny would it be if he did make a trip to London one time
and he's amused? Yeah, like, I mean, okay, maybe it is Winston. I mean, the resemblance is kind of uncanny for me, but I don't know. It looks like Winston to me. But even the fact that somebody's kicked the nose or bumped into it, and it has all of this weathering, and I guess it's sitting there taking rain, and I don't know, there's just so much sitting in that art installation.
Yeah.
And again, the trip was great for me to reconnect with a society that they really do appreciate their art. They really, really appreciate art. So even the most obscure places, you were finding interesting things. So I mean, this This sculpture is certainly one of the standout things for me. Like, I mean, look at it. It is, I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't think it is art. Yeah. So
there's an undeniability about it as well. Undeniablest. Because I would have used the word random as well, right? But I think we would say random because of exactly what you said, where things like this aren't common. So yes, it was in the middle of a big field.
Yeah.
And I think at the first time we didn't think it was art, we thought it was like some type of structure. But like, what would motivate somebody to put this there?
Yeah.
It has no relation to the field.
None.
It's not sport like, it's not industry. And the thing is, it might be Winston Dukran, but I'm sure the face was modeled after, I don't know, some person or some reference.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, what was the story behind it?
Yeah, and it's a person. I mean,
yeah,
it's not. It doesn't look like an imaginary image. It looks like a person.
And they even went the extra mile of giving the person like expression. That person looks like sad.
Yeah, it does. He does.
He looks stuck.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then to me again, it was difficult to craft this image for the same reason you talked about, right? Everything is evenly lit, right? This may have been, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't remember what time it was, but it was afternoon time when we got here. And so the field behind, the foreground, everything was just kind of lit. So I did have to work a little bit to get a little life out of it, but this was my favorite image out of in fact, I think I printed it. That's this print that's sitting over here. So this is my very first print. Absolute very first print. So hopefully I'll get this framed and probably we could put it up in the space here or something, you know.
Put it
Put it right here. I think that'll probably be a good. I'll take this and get framed for the new year.
Well, I have.
Oh yes, you have frames. Yeah, that's right.
Drop something on it and some double-sided tape.
Yeah. And I'm actually looking forward to 2025 for that reason. Just printing the artwork, like getting the images, bring them to life in a different way, you know.
Yeah, let them manifest.
Yeah, and to live. These things sit on our hard drives, only to be seen and admired by ourselves. So in many ways, this is what we do in sharing the work, right?
Yeah.
So you want to do your next image?
Yeah. So I'm surprising myself. I know what I put here, but I don't know what's next. So, So yeah, another one from London. You may know the name of the.
Take that. Yeah.
You may know the name of the place that this was in.
Thought I knew where this was. Was it Covent Garden we were in? If it was close to where the guy was juggling.
Yeah. So it'd be like walking distance from there, because we went exploring from there.
I don't know. Is
that
in the area of Covent Garden, or there's a sign on the wall?
I was gonna say that area where we ate in the like an alleyway, and it's a very popular hub.
Yeah, something's yard, Neil's Yard or something like that it's called.
Neil's Yard, correct. So
this is Neil's Yard.
It's like an alleyway connected to Neil's Yard. So you have to go through Neil's Yard and like a left.
Neil's Yard is it? I'll find it in the meantime. Yeah.
So this photo, this was a really nice experience because at first I had just noticed the light at the end of the alleyway, and I said, "Gosh, like this is so nice." And my initial subject was what do you call that again? By the awning, with the vertical lines. Neil's Yard.
It is Neil's Yard, yeah.
Yeah. So the awning with those, you could leave it up. The vertical lines coming down. And then there was this lady that was standing at the end of the hallway, and usually you point your lens at someone, especially if they're looking ahead, and they tend to walk away or they say sorry, you know. But she stood there, and I think I took 3 photos. The first one was like a rush photo because I was hoping she don't move. The second one was a bit more composed, and then this was the third one, and there was so much time between the second and the third because this lady was not moving. She almost looked like she just didn't care. So I was pointing the camera at her and I said, does she know I'm taking photos? And like, is she aware? She or is she just so brave that, yeah, go ahead, I don't care. There's a guy walking behind. So I tried to time it where he wasn't in the photo, but that didn't work out. So after I got the photo, I said, wow, this is But personally, I love the composition. I love the light, the way the light came in from the left and hit her face here.
Right.
The awnings then became not the subject, but it became a supporting element pointing down towards her.
Right.
She's wearing white, black pants inside the light. It was all great. And I almost wanted to walk up to her and say, like, did you know I was taking photos of you, or just even show her the photograph.
Right.
Only to turn around and realize that her husband is a photographer, and he had like, I know it was like a pretty big camera and a chunky lens.
Right.
And he's walking around behind taking his own photos. I realized that, yeah, she's so accustomed to photographs. Like she's not bothered at all.
You know, a lot has to be said about that London trip from the point of view of how easy it is to photograph people because they are so used to being in the company of people with cameras.
Yeah.
So compared to like when we go to shoot in Trinidad, and you always have to deal with the question of where that photo going.
Yeah. When I could see this.
Send it to me. Like it's
what paper is that?
What paper? What they're working for, which media house you're working for. So it's just way easier to just explore, and people are quite open to being photographed. I guess they are used to the concept of being captured.
And
you know,
I think, like you said too, if the culture is centered around art, then a photographer is nothing strange.
Right? Yeah. It's part of the art.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But
no, I, about this photo, I mean, there's a lot going on here that is right. Like the lines stand out to me, right? So the lines in the corridor, the lines on the awning, the squareness of the shot as well. Like, it's. I like how in the moment there's a lot to process. I don't know if you are thinking that way. The lines are what you're going for, but the lines make this a lot more enjoyable for me. And even the little passageway behind, there's some lines on the street, so there's lots of lines in this. If you look at the behind the awning in the dark, you're seeing lines in the window, and you're seeing lines in the little post that's off to the side. So there's tons of lines in this. I love it.
I think one thing that we always laugh about is that when we go out to shoot, and like we're just scanning through photos, you would always say, oh, you didn't shoot anything. Because I would have like 5 or 6 photos.
So I am known as an overshooter, everybody. I will have 1,000 photos, Azriel will have 10.
I think I think there's like 2 soldiers going out and you pack extra magazines. Like, I can spend.
I'm the guy that's shooting all the ammo. Like, send more cartridges for him.
I think this guy out, he needs more SD cards.
It's like,
I think with me though, I do take thousands of photos, but I take them in my head.
All right. Okay.
So I will pull up the viewfinder and I will look through, but I would say, okay, this would make an okay photo, but I don't need to press the button.
I'm a way more anxious shooter.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that will come with me. I mean, you're further along your photography journey than I am. I've only just picked up this thing, right? And I feel as though I'll miss the moment. So shoot, and that's the wrong way to be. Like, I am just like, when I get back, I was like, why do I have all these photos?
Well, there's two things I'll point out there. One thing, guys, is ironic that Ryan is saying he just picked this up because my photo journey, I would say, was started, encouraged, and still maintained by Ryan, which I find hilarious.
Yeah, I know. There's a story.
Yeah, there's a whole story there. We could do an episode on that.
Yeah.
But I would say, just to you and to other photographers out there, don't ever think that there is a right or wrong way to do something. Sometimes I would take one photo and I'd realize this is not it. And if I had probably taken like 2 more, their eyes would not have been like in a half blink, or their hand may have stopped moving and the photo would have been really sharp. So there are pros and cons to the approach. It's just that your post processing, you might spend a little more time pulling things out.
And in terms of my own photography journey, I would say I was using a camera for a long time, but I started off interested in videography. But I really didn't start from the point of learning the basics of photography, which actually helped you with videography in a big way, right? So I came to photography kind of after videography. So the camera was more for me to do video, and I still am very uncomfortable calling myself a photographer, as you know. So I do have this imposter syndrome, but I think I'm warming up to the reality that I love this stuff enough to dedicate some time behind it. So I'll call myself a photographer in waiting. I'll not put that label on yet, but I do love images and I love the quest of capturing them. So I've taken a much more serious journey this year. Hence the trip, hence going out, doing more street work. And I will say that it has forced me this year to live more. So if it sounds weird, but you cannot take a photo from your living room. Like you have to go out in the world, and it forces me to, or has forced me this year more than any other year, to just go out and experience the world. Like experience what Port of Spain on a Thursday night at 1 a.m. looks like. You know, it's pretty scary, but it's also quite beautiful. You know, and so you can't. To do the work, you have to do the work. Like I don't think there's photography without your legs. I was thinking about a driving out here. Like if you're not on your legs, you're not doing photography. You can't do it from your bedroom.
No offense to anybody in a wheelchair who want to take up photography.
But you know what I mean? You have to be moving. You have to be out the house. I mean, you can't do it in your house. I'm going to take that back. I mean, yes, I might have offended somebody. But like, I'm so sorry.
It's just like, dang, just tripped. All
right, well, I'll actually jump to another London photo that I would have taken, right? So we went to St. Paul's Cathedral, right? And St. Paul's Cathedral is, from an architectural point of view, it is amazing, right? I mean, I would say that there has been so much effort put into creating the facade and all of the treatment. It's so tastefully done. And I'm guessing this building must be at least 100 years old, maybe more. And so I could just imagine it when it was just made. But I mean, it is an amazing place, right? So, of course, I overshot that space, right? And in looking at the images, after the fact, I shot a lot of it badly. So high shutter speed, high ISO, right?
So let me just put my hand up. I don't know if you were getting there, but do you know why all that happened?
No.
You remember?
I think you took the camera and used it for something.
Yes, I took the camera, and I think the lens you had was a 16 to 35.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get something, and the lens wasn't long enough. So I put the camera into the 1.6 crop mode.
Right.
And and I remember in the cathedral, sorry, I know that was loud. In the cathedral, you were quarreling. You're like, this thing's so close, boy. Like, why I feel like the 60? And then you figured it out, and you're like, way horse, you spoiled all my photos and everything.
No, but I mean, okay, focal length is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't need 2,000 shutter speed. Anyway, so I was in this dimly lit chapel at 3,000th of a second, and I saw like 8,000, some kind of nonsense. Anyway, so a lot of the images were beautiful, but not really, had a lot of noise. But anyway, one of the images that I did enjoy was this one, shot. So there was a mass that happened, or I don't know what they call it. I guess a service that happened. And at the end of the service, well, while the service is going on, there are tourists walking through the church, which is amazing, right? And so then at the end, I don't know what you call this person. They are the bishop or the deacon, whatever they are. No, sorry to offend anybody, but I don't know what their title is. But at the end, they were taking out the candles and kind of, doing whatever rituals they do at the end.
He's out in a candle there.
She,
sorry.
Yeah, so she's out in a candle. There was another image just before this one where she blew that candle right in front of her. But I felt like this one, because she was looking up, because of how the light was falling across the image, kind of diagonally, if you see it, I felt like this had a lot more intent in the image. The image had a way more purpose. It had a little more action to it, and I like the idea of them looking up. Let me see. Yeah, this is almost like she's looking up to heaven, like looking up, like I don't know. It just felt like it fit a church looking up at the heavens. That's my reason for picking this one. It looked quite reverent, if you know what I mean, for want of a better word.
I love her posture. She looks as though she's done this numerous times. The way her legs are like symmetrical, she seems very calm, and I'm guessing that's necessary if you have to handle such delicate instruments. I figure you don't want to throw down a candle in there. The pole makes a perfect leading line, and then her face is lit so nicely and so soft that when I look at this photo, my eyes go straight to her. And it's only after I've consumed everything I realize that there are people on the left there, like regular tourists, but they fade.
Yeah.
They fade. To me, those two pedestals with the I guess those are lights, reading lights.
Yeah.
Everything from there go to the right. That is the photo. Maybe you could play around with the cropping.
Gotcha. I could
because
probably crop in a little further.
yeah, because it's so powerful, and you're right. The gesture of looking up in a church is very relatable. I think in all places of worship, we all tend to look up there for the answers.
Yeah, so I think that image really, looking at it there, I could have cropped, and I did crop out some of the tourists. I tried to put at the center of the frame, so just to get balance, I guess I had to keep them in the frame. But just in general, this location was so rich to shoot. It was overload. I didn't expect. It's the first time I've been to this cathedral, and this then actually, there are some images that could have made this list. I then became quite aware of places of worship from this visit. You want to jump to yours? So since I've come back to Trinidad, and I've been back since returning from this trip, I've been documenting or taking time, certainly in the exterior of different places of worship, and I'll share some of those. I'll just jump to yours.
Yeah. So you'll have to. Okay, this is Whittard, I believe, or is that? I'm not sure that's the name of the place, or
So this will be Covent Garden.
again.
Yeah, this is Covent Garden for sure.
This is where the guy was
Yes.
like close, right?
Yes. Around the corner from that, yeah.
So this photo, as I was explaining to Ryan earlier, I have a weird relationship with it where I like it, but I should say initially I disliked it, and then sometimes you take a photo and it's in your catalog, and you may have a project like this and you have to go back and choose 15 or 30, and you see a photo and kind of like the plane and the moon, you see a photo and you say, gosh, I have a new appreciation for it, and the only thing I could relate that to is understanding that the world really is filled with a bunch of unique people. So relating all that to the photo, when we were here, there were so many people at Covent Garden. I don't know if that's typical.
Right.
I'm not sure, but there were so many people. This to me like uses a target-rich environment. Everybody felt like a subject. This, I guess, it's like a small restaurant. If you look at all the people in and around, they're so busy.
Yeah.
I want to say going about their lives.
Yeah.
People in their phone, they're in conversations. And they're all unique, yet they all seem the same. And then in the middle of the frame, there's this very passionate, I want to say very vulnerable opera singer.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it is that all throughout the frame, the people and the things are clustered together. They're very, very close. Yet around her, there's so much space.
Yeah.
And it almost came across as she was this. This is quite the opposite of opera, but she was this quiet space in the photograph.
Right.
And I really, really appreciated that. And I only saw it the second time around. I think I shot this. I just want to check the. It's supposed to be here in the JPEG. I shot this at 5.6. Because initially I like I said, it was so overwhelming. I wanted to shoot everything because everybody was so interesting. And again, I almost want to use the term again, happy accident. I don't know if the best photos really are happy accidents.
But this looks very purposeful. I mean, the composition.
So
what's interesting in this photo is that there are people off to the right waiting to use the bathroom. That line of people
down here.
Yeah. Those people, wrong one. Those people are on their way to a paid bathroom, like a CWC there.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But I mean, Covent Garden is, I don't know, if it's your first time to London, is such a I don't want to say enjoyable experience. Well, it was for me my first time and every time since, in that there's so much happening there that is interesting.
Yeah.
The craft and a lot of art and good food, and then you have people like this opera singers just singing by a bathroom.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I went to use the washroom at this point, and you were taking photos, and I mean, I guess if you zoom into her face, like how she's singing there, and the voice carries in that space, right? Like it's difficult to say it in a picture, but where she's positioned, that voice projects
In the corner.
In the corner,
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if it's common, like if she's a common performer and if performances are common in the space.
performances happen in Covent Garden all the time.
Okay.
So I think that's just a part of it. Like these performance artists, it's a home for them to busk and make money. Like let me jump to the one I have here again in Covent Garden. I will. Let me jump to this one. So this guy,
So this is a killer photograph.
you like it?
Yeah.
I'm so happy you do. So this guy is doing is it Charlie Chaplin impersonation, right? So the way Covent Garden works, for those who have not been, is that it's a old marketplace, but you have these little performance areas, right, where again taking art to the people in a market. So much like that lady that you were just showing a second ago in Covent Garden, this guy he has an audience of, I don't know, 100 people, 150 people, just gather around. He's doing his thing, right? And so this guy, that's his wife, right? So the story here is that lady is this guy's wife, and the Charlie Chaplin wannabe, is in essence tackling his wife, right? So he's making a whole scene about this guy's wife, but it's just so while the guy's face is interesting, Charlie Chaplin, what I find extremely interesting is the crowd behind him, and so everybody is kind of in on the joke, It's just
I did not know that,
the story behind.
I don't know if you probably told me, I forgot, but that photograph is so powerful. Like, this to me is what most street photographers aim to get. If you have a perspective and everybody else in the photograph has the same perspective, meaning their eye lines are all pointing to where you want your viewer to go, that is money. And then on top of that, based on the story, there's an antagonistic situation going on, right?
Yeah.
You're tackling somebody wife,
Tackling
right?
his wife, yeah.
The frame and the way it's positioned, it creates this discomfort. It's not, you can tell he was looking one way and he's now turning backwards and almost pushing back against.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's almost as like of a viewer, or you as a photographer, he's saying, yo, you all are too close. Back up.
Yeah.
And even if you look at the lady in the bottom left, her neck is strained, and yet still you can tell exactly that her attention is on the confrontation that's taking place there.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, Charlie Chaplin is a pretty famous character, but he looks very serious. He looks, and the thing is, nobody else there is like worried. It's like ha ha ha, but his expression contrasts against the background.
I've never thought about the contrast actually.
Immaculate.
So I only just noticed how his face is frowned, serious, but everybody else is like, what's gonna happen now? Like, what's gonna happen now?
And to back up what I said before about the story, I thought that he was performing and this man was disturbing his performance, and he's like, hey bro, you stop it,
easy.
Not realizing he's the perpetrator. That is the man's wife.
This was an interesting moment, and it just so happened that I think like he was calling her up to do something, like to join his performance or something like that. So anyway, happy. This space, I captured a few other performances at this space, and it's always a lovely place to photograph. I mean, if you have time when you're in London, folks, and you want to photograph stuff, head to Covent Gardens. It's a very target-rich, as Azriel was saying, target-rich location. So I will say
10 out of 10.
No, I don't know what 10 out of 10. There are many things wrong with the photo, but it was an enjoyable place to shoot. But thanks, I guess. If it hit a spot nice,
That's a print.
I will print it and put it up.
Yeah. That's a print.
Print it and put it up.
That's a print. Because I I don't know anybody who would look at that photo and not wonder what is going on. What did this guy do? Yeah.
All right. Well, over to you, sir.
Yeah. This photograph, I know this is in Chinatown. Right?
Yes, it is Chinatown. Yep.
So this one, there's a personal side to this one. So I don't know if it's true, folks, but they say when you're in a relationship, when you're in love, you tend to see love. So right before the trip to London, I had found myself in a relationship. Our relationship found me. And I was just walking through, and as Ryan said before, when in target rich environments, there is a tendency to want to capture everything, and you just want to press the shutter button and just point your lens everywhere. point your lens everywhere.
Yeah,
but what I try to do is slow down, take a couple of deep breaths, and realize that I'm not going to be able to capture everything. I have to start just letting it go. And what I would do is try to pick one subject, one area that I would like. So I'll pick people, I'll pick buildings, I'll pick wide shots, I will pick close-ups, whatever it is. So I just went with people. Chinatown is it's very scary, I'll admit. As I was walking through, I think it's like the exit side, I saw this couple, and they clearly were in love with each other. Yeah. And the way the reflections were hitting on the glass, it reminded me of these old films, particularly like Martin Scorsese, a lot of his gangster films. The guys were rugged and he in his suit and that type of thing, and the girls tend to be very, very soft and almost naive. This is not a candid, because I walked up to the glass and I knocked on it and I said, can I take a picture? And they said yes. And I think they posed for the first one. And I don't know if they spoke English. It was very broken English. And I said, no. I gestured like this, meaning just be yourselves, because they were such natural subjects. And I waited and I got the shot of her looking at him. Yeah. Again, I want to say another happy accident, because no way was I in control of the lighting on the street and that type of thing. But I just waited until I was getting the right expression from her. Pressed the shutter button and this came out. And then when I got it, I was so happy I was able to capture their relationship. I went inside the restaurant and I showed them, and they were really happy. The guy reached out to me after and asked if he could get like
You did? Okay. Yeah. That's nice.
The high-res image, and really, really nice nice guy.
I'm pretty sure if they're together, that's on their mantle somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good shot.
And there was a feeling of I should say an awareness of how powerful photography is, because I don't have, like, my name is not on this photograph. We haven't spoken since the conversation that we had last time. And if it is indeed true that the photograph is somewhere in a mantle on their phone or wallpaper, we'll probably never speak again.
Yeah.
But there was this moment where three humans technically, cross paths.
Correct. Well, I would say I remember the exact moment this photo was being taken, right? So the context around Chinatown, and I'll share some Chinatown photos, right? Mm-hmm. That night was wet and cold. So that morning we shot St. Paul's Cathedral, if you remember, and it started to rain, and it started to get colder, and you went and you bought some warm clothes, if you remember that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm buying no winter clothes. Going back to Trinidad just now, I'm buying no winter clothes.
Yeah.
We buy winter clothes for?
That's right there.
Right there, a few hours of this. No. It was very cold for the rest of the night and wet, and I was underprepared. So you were okay, I'm guessing, because you were functioning.
Yeah.
I was not thinking. So my brain was shutting down for me, cold and wet.
Yeah.
So even though I was standing next to you in the same environment, I didn't see the shot.
Because you were preoccupied with.
I was just in, like, I want to go home. Like, my fingers were freezing.
Yeah, I remember your fingers were
wet. Like, I couldn't even control the camera. I was just like, ugh. Yeah. But you had the presence of mind. I guess you were warm enough to have the presence of mind. And if there was, I would say maybe this was a moment of photo envy, because the shot was there to be taken, and you saw it.
Yeah.
Right. And not only do you see it, you work it, because I guess it's something that I've kind of picked up from you over the years of working on different projects. You kind of have to work the frame.
Yeah.
So even though you were seeing it, you kind of had to get them to do something specific for you to, because then I'm not sure, you took the photo before you went in, or you went in and then came back out and took the
I talked to
photo?
them through the glass, and then I went in after I took the photo.
All right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you had the presence of mind not just to take them without them knowing, but getting them comfortable with yourself. And so you had to work the shot before you took the shot.
Yeah,
Right?
correct, yeah.
So just saying like, yeah, and while you're doing this, I was just freezing. I was just like, couldn't function. And
Yeah.
I really, when I saw this in your camera, I was like, right, this is money for me, because there's so much going on. You could see the love in her eyes.
Yeah.
You could see the happiness that exists there. But then the glass makes it look as if you are, it's like a little voyeurism going on. Like you're
Correct.
looking on at them.
Correct, yeah. It's almost like you're not supposed
To
to
be
be looking
looking
at this
at- yeah.
intimacy. Yeah, yeah, correct.
So they are, they are unaware that you are looking at them. That's kind of the feel that you have, like you
Correct,
are
yeah.
passing by, and that's what it was. You're passing by a shop window and you saw
Yeah.
them, right? So you're getting a genuine human interaction here.
And you're so right. I think it's that fairy tale image of you're walking through London or Paris or some romantic city, and there's this couple sitting on a bench or having dinner, and you look at them and their life just looks perfect. Now I'm sure they argue over something, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're so right. And just a general tip for photographers out there, I'm still learning it to be comfortable. Dress and wear the shoes, wear this t-shirt, wear this jeans, but be comfortable, because when you're out there, one of the worst feelings is what Ryan just described, where you are seeing something that you could take and you want to take and you can't take
Bro,
it.
I was out. Like I was being a trooper. I wanted to go home.
I would not have done that at all.
Yeah, like I was freezing. I was wet and cold, and my fingers weren't working, and you were off getting shots like this, and I was like, shit. I was like, oh my god, this is. Now I like this was a really good. This is one of the. This may not, if this is not in your top photo of that trip, for me this was one of the best photos I've seen you do on that trip, because it had so much, I don't know, honesty in the image. You know, and looking, I guess looking through the glass adds to the image, the light reflections and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually like this photo. So I'll do a few from Chinatown, just in the interest of time.
Well, I see we have 25 left.
No, on this.
And is that 115?
No, on the other one.
Oh, 114, sorry.
We have 42 minutes.
Oh.
left. Yeah, we have.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I'll do a few from Chinatown. Just in as much as you do Chinatown, maybe that's the theme of this thing. I'll just match you.
Okay.
Right. So let me just. My interface is a little less sophisticated than yours. I'm pretty sure I'm using this computer incorrectly. So this is in Chinatown. Why did I pick this image? So there's something about looking through these. Again, it was rainy. So while I was taking these shots, these people walked through the frame while I was framing up the shot,
I
right?
saw you in a car, you know.
No.
And
So
it's
those are umbrellas, right? You see the shape of the umbrella up at the top. I don't know if you can you see my cursor here? So this is like the umbrella thing and the umbrella stalk here. So these are people on their way through through Chinatown, and yeah, this shot is. I think the juxtaposition of the red and the black. I like the fact that you're looking through the images and you can see how wet. Well, you're seeing the rain on the floor, right? But so this is the first image from Chinatown that I was drawn to, and then this corner was just. I just love this corner. I think I have like, I don't know, in the midst of all of the madness, this corner. So this looks like something AI would generate to me now.
Okay, yeah.
And it looks like an AI image, like ChatGPT, do a Chinatown image with a couple walking in the rain. Like, now, of course, it's treated with some filters, with a filter on it for effect, right? There's a lot going on in this. Like the colorscape here is, in fact, I think I have a different angle. Let me just show. Let me see if this works. So this is kind of the colors that exist in that space, right? So it's kind of yellows and reds. And again, this is taken from a different angle. But this one, this is me trying to hide from the breeze I was blowing behind this little pillar on my left of the camera here. And I just was like, I'm already here, let me just shoot. So it's a target rich area as well. And I just found this corner to be like, to me, the epitome of what a Chinatown could be, right? And I like it because of, strangely enough, the building is nice, and there are leading lines to the building with the things going along the top, right? But if you look at the shadows here on the ground, or I should say the reflections on the shadows, reflections on the water in the ground, I kind of like this treatment. And then that leads me to the next image that I have from Chinatown, again with some treatment. But this image, again, I opted for, there was a better composed image, but it didn't have the reflections in the street. So I waited in this shot for these people to walk past
To get some room.
For the reflections on the street. And it reminded me of, so this colorscape makes it a little fantasy, to be honest, because this isn't the natural representation of the colors in the space. But I played around the colors in post because I just felt like it evoked a kind of it's a kind of video gamey feel to it to me.
It looks like Blade Runner.
Yeah. Or like Ready Player One or something, like one of these types of things, right? But the reflections in the water on the ground is a texture that I never really paid much attention to. And subsequent to this trip, I actually saw, I can't remember who the photographer was. This is like, when it's raining, go out and shoot.
Light.
You know, you see the reflections, like it gives you puddles of water and like different things to play with. I haven't done it.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, this was, did I shoot? No, I didn't shoot. So I think that's one of the challenges I'll take up next year when it's raining. Particularly at night, like to go out and shoot at night when it's raining. I've never tried to see what the city looks like or what places in Trinidad look like. You know, like typically you bundle up and just wait out the rain. I'll go out and shoot. But I mean, this Chinatown, this is like quintessential Chinatown. I don't know what you call those things, pagodas or something. I'm not sure what you call those kind of
lanterns, paper lanterns.
No, the kind of passageway that. So I don't know what it's called, but like it's at the top and bottom of Charlotte Street kind of thing. So I don't know. And then the other one I had from Chinatown. Oh, that's it. So that's my Chinatown. Okay, that's my Chinatown experience.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. So you wanna go to you?
Alright, so mine is definitely not in Chinatown. This is, we were trying to figure out if it was in Paris when we moved over.
I think it
I
is.
wonder if I could read
I
this
think it is.
sign.
I'll tell you what I think it is. If you go
hat?
back out, the hat is one, but in the reflection or off to the top left, you're seeing a vehicle there as a Chaitram, which is a very French vehicle. It's a French brand of vehicle.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that's France.
Well, so in France,
Yeah.
we were walking along and I heard this photo before I saw it.
Right.
We were coming from if you're facing the photo, that would be the right. And I heard that they were, you're right, it is Paris. You're correct. I heard the officers quarreling and I didn't understand what they were saying, but I could tell they were angry. And when I walked by, I saw that they were clearly talking to someone, but I couldn't tell. And when I looked, I was about to raise the camera and take the photo, but they look pretty serious.
Yeah. That guy is looking at you pretty serious.
Yeah. And then when I walked past, I saw that this lady was standing observing, and I really couldn't help myself. And I remember in the moment I said, "What's the worst I could do? Like, just tell me to delete the photo. Sure, I'll delete it. That's no problem. But let me take it. If I have to delete it, I'll delete it.
Yeah.
But let me not stop myself before I even try." And I took the photo. If she was not there, I probably wouldn't have, because there's nothing between me and them.
Yeah.
So this may sound right with a lot, very much like a coward, but she was kind of like a shield. And then that way the camera wouldn't have been so
Intrusive.
Yeah, so intrusive.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It came across as, I'm just like a regular pedestrian like this lady. Now, what I liked about this photo and I didn't like, what I liked was the composition and what was in it. I loved the lead-in line. My cursor would show up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the lead-in line that goes here and leads into the officers, and then the way it continues throughout the ladies' head on the side.
Right.
The light was really, really harsh at this time of day. So so we use Canon EOS Rs, and the R has a little display on top. So what you could do is you can point the camera at your subject, and you could adjust the settings and look at the
LCD screen or whatever.
yeah, and you could tell like if you're exposed in the middle, exposed to the right. So when I looked down at that, I realized that it was just it was
all the way to the right.
yeah, it's all the way to the right. It was very, very hot. So it'd be interesting to see what the shutter speed was for this. 1600 of a second. Yeah. So I found the light to be very harsh, but then I looked at what was happening in the frame and I said, well, actually, this is a harsh thing. I don't know what that guy was going through. I think he was like overdosed on something.
Right.
Because I think when we came out of the train at some point, we saw a guy that was
yeah.
pretty much.
You actually took that photo with my camera, so I have it. If you
You have
know
it? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So I wasn't happy about the lighting at the time, but just worked it because that's what was happening. What drew me to this photo as well, which you may see in like photographs in my photographs in the future, is I love a lot of humanitarian work. I'm drawn to people on the street, and I'm drawn to like just basically human stories. So when I saw this happening with this guy, I just was immediately drawn to it, and I said, gosh, like I feel compelled to take this photograph. Trust me, I wanted to go closer. I don't know what lens I had. I think I was walking around with a 35 maybe. But this guy, like he does not look inviting at all.
Yeah, that guy looks serious. He looks very serious.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And the woman is watching you too.
Which
the
woman?
lady police officer.
This one?
Yeah, she's like, what are you taking a photo of?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're looking directly at the camera. And they're all frowning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I think the reality of France is, so I generally, so I've had I've been to Paris now 3 times. I can't say I enjoyed it any of the times. So, and that sounds a little snooty, I guess, I don't know, but I feel like Paris is a beautiful city, right? I will give them, there's a lot of charm and old world kind of charm, and you can tell the city was well planned out at the time it was made, large boulevards, etc. But it feels like a tourist trap, and I always feel as though it's a tourist trap, right? So I remember, so we went to the Eiffel Tower, and I couldn't find anything of anything interesting to photograph at the Eiffel Tower. I mean, yeah. So I don't. Let me just drop this image, right? I ended up taking this photo, right? So I'm happy with this photo because the Eiffel Tower is like an accoutrement. It's a bad word. It's like garnish on a dish. And looking at this is from, of course, what's the name of that thing up at the top there? Trocadero.
Trocadero?
That's what it's called. Yeah, so there's a vantage point overlooking the city, and so everybody there was taking photos of it, dancing, people taking selfies.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like it is like the weirdest experience. You go to a place thinking it is one thing, but when you get there, it's like 4,000 other people trying to take a photo of the thing. So to me, it takes away from the site or the experience. It doesn't feel like it's your experience. It feels like
commercialized.
It's very commercial. It's like walking on, is that 42nd Street, Times Square? You get to Times Square and you're like, God, it's me and 10,000 other people here.
Yeah.
It's not really a personal experience anymore. It's been like,
I think I took the same photograph, you know.
you did?
I think so. When I say the same photograph, like I think I did. I have at least one with the same perspective because I think we came to what was my first time, and it was nothing like what is seen on TV.
Yeah.
It is not romantic at all.
Yeah, it is
actually quite overstimulating and loud.
Yeah, it is. So I have a few images now. We had handpicked like the best ones, right? But I had to picked this, and I had a few others that I was kind of toying with, but they weren't of the Eiffel Tower. It was of people taking images of themselves, people performing. So, I mean, there was a scene, it was active, but it really, I would struggle to see somebody go in there for the first time and being like, wow, I'm having a good time at the Eiffel, looking at the Eiffel Tower.
So as a first timer, my wow was at the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I'm being ungrateful, I was glad to be in the city, but it didn't have the effect on me that I thought being in Paris would have. You know? But this time I did enjoy. So I would say I haven't spent more than a day, maybe 2 days max in Paris on the 2 occasions I've been there. So, well, Paris is city. I've been to another part of France for a longer time, but Paris, the city, I've not been for a very long time. But this time, I had the pleasure of walking from Gare du Nord, Gare du Sud, wherever we came out, the train station, down to the Eiffel Tower. So we actually walked. So typically, I would have taken a taxi or something and go to your hotel or whatever. This time, because it was for photography, we decided we were going to walk. That walk was actually very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And walking along the river, I don't know what the name of it was, Seine or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. That was enjoyable too. People, because it was a sunny day and people out having lunch, whatever. So I think that walk down was enjoyable. And I chanced upon these doors. So Paris is like king of doors.
And that's the first thing we noticed when we got there.
Every door has so much character. So I'll put this image up here. And camera is dead.
I'll probably understand.
No, it's dead.
Dead?
Yeah. So I'll put it back here, right? So this image is of a woman in front of a door. It's not going into focus.
No, it's on your face.
Anyway, I'll put it up in post, this image, right? So there were tons of doors, and this was my very first print. It was this one or the Winston Ducran was this one.
Yeah.
So this was my very first print, just trying to test the color on the printer. And just to say that France has the most interesting doors at the street level. And I started taking images of doors, and then doors by themselves are very boring. So I took images of people walking past doors, and that's actually quite interesting. Just the doors then had context. And as the thing about these, I guess the style of photography that I have been drawn to is that the context is as important as the subject. In fact, the subject has no. One can argue that the Winston Ducran image has no context, so you can't really tell its value, right? So I'll take that on the chin. But the context is really important in this street photography. Like the subject in the context of the location that they're in is as important, right? So,
and for aspiring photographers out there, people who want to get into street photography, basically one can't exist without the other.
Yeah.
So you call something a subject because it is not the background or it is not the contextual information, which is why a lot of street photographers, they're not walking around with a 70 to 200, or 85 or even
35,
or even a 50.
It might 24.
Yeah, it might be 24, although it depends on what sensor, but just for simplicity's sake, anywhere between 24 to 35, sometimes 50, depending on what it is.
50 is kind of tight for street, to be honest. But
well, if you are in like an environment where you don't want everything, and you want some of it.
Yeah.
So let's say it's very restricted, and they say don't shoot this part of the building, only shoot this.
Yeah.
And you walk there at 24. You're gonna have some weird photographs because you're gonna have to walk like right up to the person, unless you're like a micro photos or something. But I say, for simplicity's sake, anywhere between 24 and 50, street photographers would use, because the whole point of going on the street is where you're shooting, and most likely why you're shooting. Yeah.
So this image, going back to this image on France, is that so the Eiffel Tower wasn't really the subject. The subject was these locks on the what do you call that, banister or railing that was on the Trocadero, I think it's called, or the stairs of the Trocadero, looking on at the Eiffel Tower. So the Eiffel Tower is context.
Yeah. You just know where it is.
Yeah. It locates it, but it's not the star of the show. And these locks then became very interesting. That I guess it symbolized either wishes or friendships or something like it. The entire railing was full of these locks, so they mean something. I guess it might mean relationships or people pledging love to each other. I can't speak French, so I don't know what it is. But
I wonder how many of those relationships are still intact.
intact. Yeah. They need to come and unlock that.
Somebody calling,
Yeah.
hey, go find that lock and just cut it off.
Cut it off. Actually, I want to get out of this relationship now. Which of these locks is mine, right? Oh God.
There was if you go back to your photo, before we move back to mine, there's what I noticed is that it became filled, and then people's relationship. So there are some threesomes and foursomes because the locks
hanging on.
Yeah.
People is like, well, all right, I ain't letting him go, but you could have it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right, so going over to your next photo now.
This park is across from the Winston Ducaran.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the park, but I loved this park. I had my cell phone as well in the UK, obviously, and I used it when I don't really want to take out the camera, and I'm not trying to make a photograph. I just want to take a quick snapshot of like a memory. And most of the photos on my phone were from this park. I think I even took a selfie here because of how calm I felt. The people that were around in the park, they looked so, I want to say, fulfilled. I have no idea if that's true or not. But when I was walking through there, I felt safe. I didn't feel bothered. The stress of my job did not exist. In my head at the time, all my family members were in good health. What I was doing currently was like God's purpose for my life. I felt almost like at the center of the universe, but also not important at all. I felt like part of nature.
So the thing about this, right, not to cut you across, is I don't recall because when we get back to the flat we were in, we would kind of dump and take a look at the images. I don't recall this as this image, but there's a lot going on in this that I like, right?
Yeah. So
just the dog.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at this dog.
So so you talk about overshooting. I have about 15 shots of this, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. It's because I wanted. So I mean, we're in the Caribbean,
right?
But a lot of the media that we're exposed to is UK or American. And what I saw was a very traditional Western family image. I mean, no child given. A child is probably the only thing that's missing here.
Right.
But the dad, the mom, or the husband and the wife, the family dog running in the park.
Yeah.
Also, the park is very green. That's one thing I remember. There were no dry leaves. It was lush and green and soft and windy. It was really, really nice. So the dog was all the way on the left, and I stood there and I said, do I do my thing and wait for the perfect moment and press the shutter, get back home and realize that the dog not in focus,
right,
and be upset? Or I'm like, you know what?
Overshoot.
Digital. So I was like, ta-ta-ta-ta. I just, held the shutter down. But I stopped when he got to the point I wanted him at. And I looked at the camera and I said, yes, I got the shot.
Right.
Now, initially, the dog and the people weren't part of the composition. I just wanted the, I think what is that building again? Some astronomy something. This one.
I can't remember. Yeah.
But that was actually the subject.
Oh, Greenwich. Somewhere close to Greenwich Park.
Greenwich Park?
Yeah, somewhere close to Greenwich. Okay, I know where this is now.
So that was actually the subject, and then the people came in and I said, oh, okay, I could use them. And then while I was waiting for them to get to a point, I saw the dog follow, so there was a lot of waiting. And then it's only after I realized that there's a person sleeping very comfortably in
I missed that.
the bottom right here. And that's just to see how safe the park is. And she was unbothered.
Right.
Totally unbothered.
Sleeping under a tree.
Yeah, exactly. So the image to me was so peaceful, and when I look at it, I feel as though it captures that feeling I had in that park. Every time I look at it, I was like, man, I want to go and sit on that log right there.
Yeah.
And just read a book.
What I love about it is, I love the log too.
Yeah.
Like you know, they say put something in the foreground, in the
Yeah.
background, and
Yes,
something
yeah,
in the
yeah,
middle.
yeah.
But I don't think you were trying to do that, like just to be lined up. So that log has a lot of character in and of itself, right? Like it adds depth to the image. Is it in focus?
No, the people would be well.
It looks.
I would have shot this very wide because you're right. It was intentional, but at the time, the people weren't part of it. So it would have been a foreground, background.
Right,
And
okay.
then when they came in, this would have been shot pretty wide.
Can you tell?
I use
The
the
manual.
manual lens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's the other thing with the way you shoot versus the way I shoot, which I mean, I respect you for, right? In that you shoot a manual lens, bro. I'm missing every shot with that manual lens. Like I don't know how you balance in. Well, it's not a zoom lens; it's a fixed.
A fixed lens. Yeah, it's a
Okay, so
28
so I
millimeter.
guess the only thing you're varying. No, but you vary aperture and focus.
Yeah, they have aperture ring and a focus ring.
Yeah, so yeah, that's two things too many already for me. So like the way I shoot is very lazy compared to that. Like I probably should take up the challenge of a manual lens like that. But yeah, clearly your brain works. Well, I'm sure you have enough muscle memory now to know how to dial things in. But yeah, I was missing that shot for sure.
Well, it's. I mean, we have the aperture control on the camera. The reason I like the manual lenses is they're very cheap. Also,
They are affordable.
yeah, they're quite affordable. There's also a tidbit there. A lot of the modern cinema lenses are rehoused Canon
FDs,
FD
yeah.
lenses. So
Yeah,
this look here is a Canon FD lens.
So I would compliment you on the look that you get, because I would say that old glass that you use, it has a character that I didn't appreciate until I started to really see the work that you do through them, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there is a look.
Yeah, yeah. And
It's hard to describe. I mean, some more established photographer might be like, you're talking rubbish, but there is a look.
no, I think a more established. I don't know if this is tooting my own horn, but a more established photographer would say yes. They 100% have a look, because the way modern lenses are made now, it's in a factory. So your 50 not yours, but like A50, a 50L will look the exact same way as
Right.
another L. But this FD50 will only look like this one.
Right,
Because
okay.
a lot of these lenses,
Had some manual.
they had some manual inputs. Another thing is that they are all there's no electronic component in these lenses.
Right.
It's just glass and metal. So going back to when we were talking about shooting in the rain, I could shoot in any weather with these lenses. There's nothing to feel,
Right.
at all.
Right.
If you do take a manual lens, you may have to slow down, because the whole rat-a-ta-ta-ta shooting thing, the camera is like autofocusing and figuring it out. But with manual lenses,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to know, okay, I'm at an 8 because I want all of these things in frame. And
Gotcha.
it does
Yeah.
slow you down, a little
Yeah.
bit.
And then going back to the shot a bit, I mean, it's only dawning on me that you have foreground, you have background, and then you have background.
So the background is the tree.
Yeah, and then behind that is like the building.
The thing, okay.
And then behind that is the clouds.
I didn't even split it up.
So yeah, there's a lot
that
of
way.
depth. There's a lot of depth to this image. In fact, there's the tree, and then there's the hedge, and then behind the hedge is the building. So there are like layers.
Yeah.
You know, there are layers going behind. I really like the composition. And then, so I struggle with this, right? So what I mean by what I struggle with, I will describe now. See all those people are small in that frame?
Mm-hmm.
I struggle. I would be trying to make them so big in the image that I would miss the tree. Like if I had to approach this shot, I would be struggling to make them like half the size of that image, because in my mind I'm thinking, well, okay, they're important. I mean, they are important, but I think the entire composition is more important than.
So you would try to get like.
That would be me with the dog in two. If you scroll in, that'd be me. That'd be my shot right there.
Yeah.
That's the Chaitram shot there.
Chaitram shot.
Yeah, that's it there. I'd be like, yeah, dog, people.
Well, the
Log.
blanket / cheat answers art is all subjective, right? So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no bad photographs.
No, there are bad photographs.
You're out to prove that.
I've proven that many times. But yeah, no, that I would have
Yeah.
probably landed on a shot like that and be like, or maybe a little further out. But I'd put them on a third and I'd be like, yeah,
that, yeah.
shot.
So then here, I would say the only thing that would hurt this photograph is that the log will be too big.
Big, yeah.
And now the log looks like it looks huge and they look tiny.
Yeah. So in doing it this way, I'm cut your tree off a little bit. Like the tree is the star of the show. Like if I was to sit down and be pensive and think a lot and drink a cup of coffee, I'd be like, how old is that tree? That tree's 100 years old. Like there's so much life that tree has seen.
I think I could sometimes overthink my photographs because I could tell you. So I could tell you how I would start, right? The first thing when I look at a picture is where do my eyes fall naturally?
Right.
And that is like in the first half second. Now the tree is huge. It's near impossible. And then what it does, it will draw your eye down towards the people, and then your eyes do this, and
Gotcha.
it spreads. And then as it spreads, you will come. You it's almost like the log is in the foreground, but you'll notice it last.
Yeah.
And it's also almost not the brightest thing in the frame, but it's pretty bright. But that tree and the way it's contrasted against that naked sky, your eyes go straight there, and it goes down and then wide to the side.
I love it. So I would say, just in the interest of time, I think we're gonna run out of film. I'll jump over to this image here. So I'll let you react to this image, and then maybe I'll encourage you to react to this image before I give you the reason why I included it in my year in review.
My first thought is these people are in trouble. And this is very stereotypical and poor cultural judgment on my part, but because her head is wrapped like that and there are kids involved, my first thought is that this is people who are like they're not supposed to immigrants, put it that way,
or refugees or
something like that,
fleeing from one place to the next.
Yeah. Now the kids look very aware. They look like a grown up. And then my last thought is the conversation, and this corrects against my first poor judgment. The conversation that the guy and the woman are having, it seems deep. He seems to be explaining something heavy, and she's like, a hand on her chin, kind of like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So I'll tell you why. So I see the photo differently, right? It crossed my mind that there is a element of maybe people from a different society so this was taken in the UK. This was along, I think, Oxford Street. Yes, we were walking along Oxford Street. And it was late in the evening. I think it was maybe about 4 or 5 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. And so these people were resting. So I didn't take them for refugees. And again, playing into the stereotype, and not stereotypes are short-circuited ways of making judgments, so forgive me, but they are well-dressed. He's in Jordans, and son is in Jordans, and wife looks very stylish. So I didn't take them for refugees that are not well-off. I actually look at them as a well-off couple. I think
Three kids too.
Huh?
3 kids too.
3 kids. I think that shoe the child is wearing at sleeping, I think that's a big brand. I could be wrong. But the notion is they were resting, but what drew me to this photo when I saw them, and I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but clearly my brain was calculating. That line that's going on in the center separates them. So if you look at
the couple?
Yeah, so there's this line here.
Oh, on the right of the yeah.
So there's actually a line, and that was intentional, but looking at the image when I was working on it, I was like, oh wow, this actually cuts them in half. And then there's a symmetry between them.
And it cut in right through the kid.
Yeah, but there's a symmetry between them. They are both facing each other, and the 2 kids are facing away from each other. So there was an incredible amount of symmetry that existed in this image that, well, I just love. I love.
I don't know
symmetry.
if it's a TV, but did you do any like separation?
I did.
Okay.
I did do so. I could probably adjust that a bit. It's a little harsh on this screen now we're looking at it.
I was gonna say that I could only see his hair and the boy's hair. I'm seeing black.
Yeah. But so yes, there is some separation that I did do, and I'll probably soften that. But the composition for me was that line was only in post. I was like, there's like 2 halves to the image.
Yeah,
probably do somewhat to center the image a little bit more, and I kind of like the fact that they were like tired. All these people are walking home, going home, and they were like just too tired with these kids.
The boy on the right looks so he looks so grown up.
On the right,
yeah, he looks like
this one. On the right of the father or the right of the
Sorry,
shot?
on the right of the shot.
Yeah, yeah.
He looks like, yeah, but when I get to him, I have to do this, I have to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't really get through it so and so today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, but there's maybe a little too much separation in the treatment. But I this is one of my favorite shots. And then the color is a very cool. All of the colors dark, kind of.
It's cold.
Yeah, I did apply some techniques for masking and playing with color with the different masks that I did. So you call it the separation that I was doing, but there's a coolness to this. There's a lot of dark blues and blacks in it that I like. Even
It's
in
very filmic.
Yeah. So that's my other London one. So I will jump over to you.
So this is one of my favorite places in London. I've probably been to like a couple square foot. But this is a bookstore called Bookstore on the Hill, I think, or Bookshop on the Hill.
Right.
It's a baby blue store. I have another photograph on the outside, but I had to pick 15, so I went with this one. I spent at least an hour in this bookstore. I think I also video called my mom, and I was trying to walk her through the store as well. I asked the owner, the worker there, if I could have taken a portrait of her, because the entire place was perfect for a movie. They said she looked like this wise librarian, but she said no. She said feel free to take photos of
this was a used bookstore or was it a library?
No, used bookstore.
Used bookstore.
Used bookstore. I say librarian just because she just has that wisdom, and no matter what book I pointed to, she could have given me a little bit about it.
Right. Okay.
Now, the first thing my eyes were drawn to here, although this photo it doesn't show it exactly, was the light inside of there.
Yeah.
Now it's well lit, big windows, and it's also dusty.
Right.
So the dust is little particles are floating through the air, and it gives the image this depth. But I went with the wall because I love books. I know that's obvious. I love to read. I love knowledge. And on this wall is this what like a let's say 2 meters by 2 meters. The shelf, at least this section. And within those 4 square meters, there are, I would say, what's that, like 50 books. And inside those 50 books, there are, I would say, hundreds of pages. Let's say thousands.
Right.
And in those thousands of pages, there's so much knowledge. To sit and read through everything in this photograph, you could watch this photograph in a second, but to read everything would probably take you, a year?
Yeah, that's some dedicated reading there.
Yeah, and it would probably take you 5 years to understand it all.
Yeah.
You know?
So much knowledge on a shelf.
So much knowledge on a shelf. And books are fascinating to me because it's a way of talking to dead people.
Yeah, it's old technology, but I mean, it's... there's a permanent state.
Correct, yeah.
I know in many ways, like that's what
exactly. I was not about to reference.
Yeah, that's what doing these things are. You know, this brings it out of the digital into the real world. Like it makes it live. It makes it real. You know. And
a book. I also journal a lot. I try to journal every day. To me, a book is just as a journal that somebody made readable and then put out into the world. It's a way of reading someone's unfiltered thoughts where they aren't trying to, hide themselves.
Right.
So there's no pressure of talking live into a microphone like what we do now.
Yeah.
They get to sit and review and really present a well thought out idea. So again, I was drawn to it for that. And the latter reason, which is a little selfish, is, man, I wish I could have afforded some of these books on here.
Yeah, boy. Listen. Yeah, boy. I remember the prices on some of these. So tell me something. Is there a lot of color correction you put to this or any treatment?
Yeah, no color treatment in it. I mainly shoot in black and white. I just flipped the camera to faithful.
Right.
Landscape. And this is what it came out. Landscape, what it does, it just changes. It pushes blues and greens a little bit.
Right.
In saturation. So I'm sure like if you look at this book here, this blue one in the middle, and the greens, they will stand out, and then your browns and reds will be pushed down a bit.
Okay. Got it. So I guess it's the sky and the grass is what is pushing.
Things that you'll find in nature.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So actually, the blue. It's funny you say that the blue and green they are standing out the most. on the shelf. I mean, everything else is kind of leather bound brown, so it's not difficult to stand out. But yeah, I think composition, I love it as well. Straight on.
And it's funny you asked about if it was cropped. I struggled because I wanted we really want the still shift lens, right?
Yeah.
But I struggled
I have
because
one.
as you could see, you got one? I did. All right. So as you could see, like the cropping on the left and on the bottom, like I cut off the box on the top, the bottom, the box are cut off. But
Right,
that
okay.
was the best
Yeah.
composition I could have gotten with the lens that I
And
had.
this is what, 35?
It might be, yeah. I could check.
It probably wouldn't
feel
be.
as in manual.
It's manual, you wouldn't say.
Yeah, manual.
Yeah.
So
You were shooting
so probably 28.
28, okay.
Yeah.
But I guess in this space, you probably didn't have enough depth to get everything. Got it.
If I had gone back anymore, you'd have started to see the glass counter.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I love how the shadows are soft. Again, it's just a feature of how the light is. And
Man, it was so. There's a huge window
Yeah.
on the side.
yeah.
Tall floor to ceiling window.
Is this the bookstore that was kind of green outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
hill. I know it, yeah.
Really, really nice.
I have some good images of that on my phone.
Yeah.
Because it was closed the first time we went. That's right. And you went back by yourself. That's right.
Yeah, I have to go back there.
All right. So I don't think we have much time on the road. We have 4 minutes. So let me just do this. So going back.
How much in your writing?
4, 17, 18. Yeah, 12 minutes. Yeah, okay, you're right. You have 12 minutes. Right. So if I go to this image. So coming out of London, places of worship then became extremely interesting. For these are things that you pass every day and you don't take note of. Sorry, I'm projecting. These are things that I didn't take note of, right? It's very easy for me to pass a place of worship because you pass it every day and it has become part of the scenery and, okay, you go to church there or whatever. This image was shot, I can't remember what time of night, maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night. For those of you who aren't familiar with this image, this is the Roman Catholic Church along Long Circular Road. I don't recall the name of the parish itself, but it is a extremely rich in architectural provenance, right? In that it's featured in, I've forgotten the name of the architect. I'll find the name of the architect and put it in this video, right? But it's a very prominent architect that has designed the facade, right? And this facade at night, it never struck me just how compelling it is.
It looks
So
it actually looks industrial.
yeah,
It looks political. It looks
yeah. I've never been in it, so I'd love to go in it and photograph it. But at night, just the way the light falls, and I had a choice of this one or another. This image, but shot a little further back. Well, I should say zoomed a little way out, right? That had a lot more context around it, and I chose this one because it's kind of imposing, and I love the symmetry of it. I love how the light is falling and the shadows. It tells a lot about the design intent of the facade. Like you can tell it's meeting its function, its purpose in the way that it was designed. It was designed with light to fall on it. The louvers are giving a particular effect, so the lighting on the top of the post, like you could tell like there was a lot of thought that went into how they wanted this facade to impact the passerby. So I really enjoyed this one at night, and this really was one of a few others that I've shot, but it didn't make the list. I mean, there's some others that there's some incredible places of worship in Trinidad that are worthy of being documented, and I'll probably hopefully take that on, and at night I'll see what they look like at night, some of the more popular ones. So
the piece in the middle looks like it looks like a US flag, like a version of it.
a US flag,
Yeah, just with all the stars.
and while I'm on places of worship, just because in the interest of time, this is another shot of a father doing Sunday service at one of the churches in Port of Spain. I still haven't perfected the shot, but I've included it because I love the idea, because I'm shooting on a very long lens here, the 70-200, from across the road through a window at the pastor, the father doing his rituals, his Sunday evening
Something about this
mass.
is very illegal. The way you described that just now.
Yeah. But where this church is, I didn't feel comfortable coming out and, taking the time. So I'm shooting from my vehicle through a window, across a road, looking around quite gingerly, concerned about my own self while I'm taking the shot. But I will continue to try and take the shot on a Sunday afternoon until I get the shot I want. But this one still tells the story of, being an observer from a distance of a very secret act, right? So I included it in my list for the year-end review.
It'd be crazy if you turn and look at you.
Yeah, it would be. So I will hand over to you, I guess, just to jump into yours.
So that told me, so I'm not going to show, what would I pick? I will pick this one. So this is the Canary Wharf station, if I'm not mistaken.
It is,
right?
Canary Wharf, yeah.
Well,
Heron Keys and Canary Wharf, yeah.
Right. So one thing I noticed in the UK was the public transportation was spot on. As I spent more time there, I noticed that the atmosphere was, so the color scheme is black, gray, blue, white. That's pretty much it. I don't think I saw anybody wearing purple, yellow, red, nothing like that, right? It's very, very bleak. And so after the initial shock factor faded, and I started becoming normalized to the place, I started noticing the finer details and not putting any large blanket statement on the UK, but they just look depressed. Really, really depressed,
so
right?
they're known for being when it's cold, the colors reflect the temperatures as well.
I'm like, man, what you all need some color in your life,
Summertime the colors come out for sure.
Okay. So what I noticed is that so the amount of people that would be moving, and there were no good mornings, no hellos, no hey, so and so, hey, a little one liner.
Yeah.
It was all you would hear is people just walking by, and their heads would be down in their phone, listening to, I guess, a podcast or something, or reading a book. And I did not have a tripod on me, but what I wanted to capture, when I saw this escalator, I said it would have been great if I could have captured the stillness of the escalator and the train station and just get the movement of the people.
Right.
So didn't have the tripod, but I still wanted to try. I know it wouldn't have been perfectly sharp, but I was okay with it. So what I did, I compensated. If you're ever doing this, one of the best ways to try, one of the best, techniques is have 3 points of contact. So you hold the camera firmly, you kind of squeeze your chest, and then see if you could brace up against something. So you're not trying to balance the camera here, your body becomes a tripod, and then you put it here. So I did that, got my frame up. I set the shutter speed to, don't think it was the slowest. I think it would have been half of that. The shutter speed is a quarter of a second. Same 28. And
handhold.
And I got some movement. It's still not the image I envisioned. I saw people fill that movement in the escalator, filled. But I saw it, and I was still really impressed with what you could pull off with just a slow shutter speed and a steady hand.
Yeah.
And I'm happy because it's not what I wanted, but it still captures the
well, I mean, if this was handheld for such a long, relatively long shutter or slow shutter speed, I guess Canary Wharf and Heron Keys, the signs are still legible. So credit to your tripod skills, I guess.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about the architecture with the subways or the tube stations, as they call them, or the tube, each station has its own character. So this one has its own character with the escalator and that dome thing that goes over it. So again, I know you like light. You don't pass light, so I think you captured it well. I remember I was off at a distance when you were taking this photo, so I remember you taking it.
Yeah.
At least I think I saw you taking this one.
This was it really was a moment of I don't have what I need, but I'll figure something out.
Yeah. I'll jump just in the interest of time, not to take anything away, but I think we're running out of hard drive space. So I'll jump to this image. It's a poorly shot image. I'm going to work this image in 2015.
2025.
what did I say? 2015, 2025.
Yeah.
But this is an image I want to do some more work to capture at night. Like this is our city, right? Like, I mean,
I know you don't like those power lines.
I'm starting to embrace them.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Starting to embrace them. I hate the power lines. I mean, I guess if they take away a lot from images in our city, at least in cityscapes that you try to get, and so. But they become in kind of like the character for me. Like I started to accept the jumbleness of them and the fact that they kind of jump all over each other, TSTT and B Mobile and Flow and everybody fighting for pole space and TNTech and whatever. But this image, I'm gonna keep working it. But the reason why I like this image, is at night I don't see many people in the city at night. So being in the city at night, a lot of street dwellers, which I know you've spent a lot of time documenting, and you see people traveling, mainly security guards and fast food workers traveling to and from, shift workers, people who have late shifts, which are typically like fast food and security, and people, street dwellers and taxi drivers. It's kind of like, and maybe you'll have like food vendors and drinks vendors or whatever in the city. So the city becomes quite desolate, and in many ways it's what is the opposite of most modern cities. At night cities come alive. At night our city goes to sleep. So this it's uncommon to see people venturing out into the city at night. It's not the easiest place to be at night sometimes, depending on what part of the city you go, and I know you've been to some seedy parts of the city. But this image, not that one. We get to that one.
Jump scare for
yeah. But this one has, there was this leading line with the priority bus route that I was trying to get. And I like the fact that the city's at a distance and the old city is in the foreground, and this leading line of what the old train line used to be heading into the city. And
is that what the priority is?
Yeah, the priority bus was the old train line before we got rid of the train line. So it spans Port of Spain all the way to, I guess, technically Arima. And then the train line is one that goes all the way to Grande. That's a whole other story as to why we don't have a train in Trinidad. But this image, not that one, this image, I guess it captures our attempt at modernity and, this ambition to have a imposing skyline as a symbol of our modernity, I think, is what it tries to capture here.
It looks like I could tell that this filter or color correction, I should say,
is a filter, yeah,
right?
for sure.
Is the same as the family, the one I was sitting.
It's in the same family of filters, yeah.
Okay. Reason I say that is because the blue in the city there, it gives me the same coolness I saw with the family, and there is an over application of filters that can happen in visual media in general, but I think here it's done a really good job of showing the difference, because you say the city that sleeps, right? But that those buildings are very alive to me. Those are people working, I would assume.
Right. I guess. I mean, this was a Sunday, so I guess not. I don't know. This is just lights on.
But there's a lot of lights on. I'm thinking, well,
no,
why?
sorry. This was on Monday. This was a Monday evening.
Right. So let's just I'm making an educated guess, right? And I'm assuming there's some activity happening in the building. The blue there, it looks so cool. It looks so. It just looks like you said, a Ready Player One.
Yeah, it is Ready
I feel
Player
like if I go there, I'm going to see neon signs, and Port of Spain is a bit of that, depending on where you go.
Yeah.
But like this is the.
So this was overcorrected for effect, largely because those lights in the foreground are like the orange lights that light the city. So there was a very orange kind of color a characteristic of the photo. So I was trying to balance it, and I was playing with different, I guess lazily playing with different filters, and this one struck me as kind of Gotham-esque. Gotham-esque. But yeah, no, I think I'll keep this in. Just mindful of time, just jumping over to you. So I think you spend a lot of time in the city, so maybe you could show us some of your cityscapes or city images.
All right, well then let me Let's see if I can find. All right, so I'll do this one first. Before I show not that one. So this is a shot of the San Fernando King's Wharf. This is a train station, an abandoned train station. It's part of a larger project that I'm working on, which I could probably talk about in another episode. But this guy, I spoke to him. He's pretty much living there. I don't think it's legal, but he lives there. This shot, I wrote about it in my book that's coming out eventually sometime next year. I remember this moment because I had this sudden realization that this is somebody's living room. When you look at what's taking place there's intention behind some of those things. The water is put in one side, the chairs put there, clothes is hung out to dry. It's not in the frame, but to the right there's half-cut containers of water covered with clothes to prevent like flies and things from getting into it. And what I loved about the photograph is, personally, he is in the photograph, but you could almost miss him.
Well, I missed him.
Right, you see.
He disappeared into the background. I mean, but now that I see him, I could see him because he's looking out what I guess is a window.
No, there's a door going further into the building. That's his bedroom.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes. So, what I liked about it, and it wasn't shame, he was just retiring. He's just
going to sleep.
Yeah, going to sleep. These guys get up very, very early, and they do whatever it is that they need to do. And he was just going to bed. And this is when I called out to him because I try not to photograph people without at least letting them know.
Right.
And he had a whole long conversation. I'm very happy to talk to somebody. And he said, yeah, this is where he stays and this is his little abode. And he explained how he ended up in this position and all that stuff. So, anyway, in terms of shooting the actual image, like from a technical standpoint, these images are shot at like between 8 and 11.
Right. Trying to get everything in.
Everything in the space, and because there's a technique which I am failing to remember the name. Old lenses, I don't think the modern lenses have it. They have measurements at the top where they tell you if you are at a particular f-stop, what is a particular amount of feet away from you would be in focus.
Right.
So if you learn that technique, you don't always need to bring the lens, the camera up to your face.
Right.
Which could sometimes take away from the human part. That's a big part for me because sometimes I may still bring the camera up, but I don't have to spend time.
Right.
Focusing. I just know that that's a couple of feet away. Bring up, shoot.
So this image, I think we're running out of time really quickly. Yeah, 4 minutes. Right. So this image, then maybe you could jump to some of the other shoot images.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry to rush you.
That's fine. So this one is further along. This lady, she was special because she did not want her image taken at all.
Of course.
She was inside, and I keep talking to her, and eventually she say, "What do you want to know?" And she pushed the door and she come out and she gave me a whole painful history. I admit, very painful. She grew up there since she was a little girl. She said many promises and stories, and eventually after talking to her, I said, "Let me just get one photo here." I said, "You wouldn't even feel it," and she blushed a little bit, and then I think she realized that she was safe, and she went there. And I liked the photo simply because when I looked at the light at the time, I knew that she was going to be the only thing lit in that background.
Yeah.
Inside there was
so
black.
she looks like everybody's auntie.
Correct. Yeah. Trini auntie. This guy, again at the wharf, but more on the main street. He is probably one of the few smiling homeless people, and it's a very deceptive smile because, in plain English, he was jailed for killing his wife. He strangled her. I'm sure that may generate some intrigue, and I'll happily unpack that later down. I'll leave it at that because I could talk on and on about this guy. And finally, this shot
appears the resistance.
Yeah. So after Ryan and I were shooting for a completely separate project, I went back into Port of Spain to shoot, and I was about to leave, and I kid you not, this guy just walks out from a side street, and this is clearly you could see he's so confident. There was absolutely no shame. He was hailing people and saying morning, so and so. He wasn't covering himself, and because we are in his house. This is his living room. He is
correct.
And what I liked about it too, I have a couple of shots. I wanted to get closer, but I was scared. His stride. There's that right foot being in front.
Yeah.
Something about it that there's purpose in his walk. And then him wiping his eyes like
I
those
just want to
children.
say that this guy has on slippers. Like this is the fun part about this photo. Like he has on nothing but slippers.
And wiping his eye like, no, and I don't get up on a
But he looks
water
like he
bed
just
type
bathed
of-
or something. He looks wet.
Man, I can't tell you. I cannot tell you. I wanted to get closer, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah. But one of my favorites.
well, I mean,
so much I could
it's
say about
it's so rare, and I guess this is what happens. Again, you have to be on your feet, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you can't get this image
Your living
at home.
room.
Yeah,
You
you
can't
can't.
take
You have to
that.
go in their living room, right?
Yeah.
I'll probably just
You close it one.
I'll close the one. This was one of the add-ons. There's so many photos that, so many photos. This one, I don't think you've not gone to any of these kind of it shows up differently on that screen, but I guess editing this is what I see, right? So this guy is an old guy. So context: this is on the way into Lopino. Well, as you know, I love reggae, right? So I've discovered this song, and I was like, Kingston Heat. Let's see if I could find it, right? But Kingston Heat just had me in a whole different zone, and I just driving. And on the way to Lopino, a place I've never been to. Oh, sorry, I haven't been to since like very young. So just discovering the valley, and on the way, this guy was leaving his home. I stopped. I was like, nah, this, because the distance between his home and the next thing was like a mile. And this old man, he has a cane. You could see that in the image. He has a cane, and yeah, he's probably looked like he was in his 60s, going to his 70s. He's kind of hunched over there. Just you could probably see how the lights fall on his back. And he about to trek a mile, and you know, just there's no taxi, there's no bike, there's nothing. He just walking. So this is my lanyap. This is my also ran images on the way to
The
Lopino.
line is fantastic. We should make a really nice black and white if you choose to explore that.
I'll probably flip it on black and white and see what happens. Like this is my attempts at. No, this was difficult to edit because I'm dealing with sunlight and shadows. So I've been playing with the masking techniques. It was a challenge to even get that under control. But I'm happy with what it says. Like he is on life's journey. Like you know, he's. going
And
along
there's
life's
I can't
road.
see his face, but I can tell he's quite confident.
Yeah, and he's on his way. So I think we are done.
Yeah.
20 seconds. Let me see if I could find the song. What is this? Kingston Heat. Kingston Heat. Right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This was our very first attempt at a conversation about images we've taken, and I think we enjoyed this. We'll do it again.
Yeah, I do this for sure. For sure. Listen, I'll talk to myself.
Wipe your tears away, baby.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
It's like you squeeze it out. Why is this hard? being producer is usually hard.
All right, hi guys.
I did hi guys. I'm not doing that. I say hey, I'm Ryan. You want more for kicks? You do one more for kicks?
Yeah, let's do a few until we comfortable.
Okay.
All right.
Rehearse all day, perform all